My work requires me to sometimes travel between different time zones, and because of that, I like to wear a GMT watch. And I've been seeing quite a few videos lately from some of my favorite YouTubers, and they're going over their favorite GMT watches, but they rattle off a bunch of different brands and they tend to forget one specific one, which I've never been a big fan of, but it's a good brand, is Citizen. This Citizen GMT is possibly one of the best GMT watches that you can get for your money, and I'm going to tell you about it. But first, what if you don't know what GMT is? I'm going to show you guys real quick here. Just got to get a notepad, and I have it below my desk. All right. Here we go. Chewbacca mask. We don't need that. Yeah. Right. All right, so let's just take a sheet of paper here and let's take a look at the globe. It's a very crooked globe, I know. We have a North Pole up here, we have a South Pole down here, and of course you have the equator going somewhere around here, and right here is Greenwich, a small little borough in London. And GMT, if you didn't know that, GMT stands for Greenwich, which I never say that correctly, mean time. GMT. And so they basically had an observatory here in Greenwich. They used a lot of different formulas. This is in the early 1800s to determine that this particular point here was the best spot when it comes to the time of the day, solar times, blah, 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 keeping track of time and standardizing all that for all the ships and the merchants around the globe. And so they kind of based this as the prime meridian line. Now then there's the equator right here, but they determined this to be the main point, and this is where the observatory is, the Greenwich Observatory. So because they used this, all the ships were basically already using this point of time as the 0 hour marker for a 24-hour day. And then they basically took little lines and drew little lines, they drew it all the way through, every 15 degrees until they came out with 24 hours around the entire globe. That's how you have your 24-hour clock, with Greenwich being the 0 hour time. So if you were in New York, and let's say that's over here somewhere in the US, we'll pretend that this is the US, and if you were in New York, you would take your 0 hour of GMT, or Greenwich Mean Time, and subtract 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be New York. You would just subtract those lines. So New York, NYC, would be GMT minus 5 hours. So why did they use Greenwich as that prime meridian line? Well, in the US, they had already adopted Greenwich as that prime meridian line, and 0 for the time zones. And we based our time zones off of that Greenwich being the prime meridian line. And 72% of the commerce around the world had been using Greenwich as that 0 hour marker for all their ships, railway systems, and just using it for commerce in general. So it benefited the most people. Those are really the main reasons why GMT became a thing. I use it to track my home time zone and then the time zone that I'm traveling to. It's that simple. And the watches that do that are GMT watches, which have usually 4 hands: an hour hand, a minute hand, a second hand, and then a GMT hand, which is usually signified with a different color on the dial, on the hand. And this one is like that. You got 3 hands that are white marked, and then you have the GMT hand, which is designated with a red arrow. Let's take a quick look at it here up close. All right, so here we have the Citizen Promaster GMT. Specifically, the model number is the BJ7128-59 Edward. And there are 3 different iterations of this watch. The Pepsi dial color, which I have right here, there is a greenish color, and then there's an orangish color. The green and blue one is pretty cool, but my favorite really, and I didn't get it, and I probably should have thought about getting it, was the orange and black iteration, which I'll put in the link below here. You'll be able to see it. It's amazing. It looks like the old Seiko Monsters, which is pretty cool. But you're getting so much bang for your buck with this watch. Full stainless steel, really brushed all the way around. It doesn't really have any high polished areas. The lugs are really cool looking with their beveled edges, but brushed case all the way around, brushed strap. It's a fold over clasp that says Citizen on it right here. Fold over clasp. It feels really solid. Also signed Citizen on the inside. It's not like a hollow feeling one. It feels pretty solid. Snaps well, clamps down really well, and it has one of the best features that you can have on a fold over strap is a micro adjusting bracelet. That's awesome. Micro adjustments. Stainless steel case back, and it's a screw down case back, which also helps it be more water resistant. And speaking of water resistance, this little guy is capable of 200 meters of water resistance, all for that price, which is amazing. I'm just going to reset the hands right there. Has hacking capability, so you can actually stop the second hand if you want to by pulling the crown out all the way. I have it lined up the way I do here, so that way you can see one caveat about this watch, which is the way the GMT hand, not the GMT hand, but the way the date window is so tiny that you can literally block it with the GMT hand. I'm going to move the hand so you can see that date window right there. Look at that. Isn't that insane? It is just too tiny. And it's not that it's a bad date window, it's just that it's so set so deep into the watch and it's not opened up enough, and there's no cyclops, so it's just so hard to see it. But you know, you can still see it. It's not great. It actually says 16 on the date. You just literally can't see it because it's so teeny tiny. But yeah, so you can set the GMT hand by moving the hours and minutes hand, so you can set the GMT hand to where you want it. And then once you have it set for your local time zone, you can just push the watch crown in one time here, and then when you land in the new area wherever you're going, let's say it's New York, then you can just set your hour hand to be whatever hour it needs for whatever time zone that you're in. Pretty easy to set it. It's not super complicated. The watch itself weighs 196 grams, so it's fairly heavy. It's about the weight of a Tour de France bicycle's wheel and tire combo. Not, it's pretty heavy. It has a signed crown, which I love the fact that it has a signed crown. It's a screw down crown, so you can screw it down to tighten it, so it keeps it more water resistant. Sapphire crystal, which I love. Don't get me wrong, I like my Seiko watches with their hard legs, but I am not a huge fan of hard legs. I like the sapphire crystal. I just think it's better. I feel more comfortable when it comes to wearing it, knowing that I'm probably going to scratch it and I don't have to worry too much about the sapphire crystal getting damaged. So that really does kind of, reassure me. I understand that sapphire crystals aren't the best for diving, but I don't go anywhere near 200 meters when I go in the water anyways, so this is perfectly fine for me. I know that I can take it in the pool, shower, wherever, when I'm traveling. It keeps immaculate time. I have not had any issues with keeping the time. I haven't had to worry about resetting it. The quartz movement on this is extremely accurate, and the lume is insane. I'm gonna grab my flashlight here because I want to light this guy up. I want to do this right here in real time so you guys can see this. Lights off, light off here, flashlight. We're gonna just do this for a second here. We're not even gonna do it more than 10 seconds, which I don't even think you need to do more than 10 seconds anyways. Turn that off, and boom, look at that lume. That's awesome. And as you see, the GMT hand is slightly blue on the lume as opposed to green, whereas the other hands are all green. And I barely lit it up, so we can really try to let it light up pretty bright here. And I do have another overhead light on right now, which is shedding a little bit of light on the watch, but not a lot. See if we can block that out here. There we go. That's what I'm talking about, man. And even the second hand has lume, which is awesome. Love it. So this watch has really been my go-to recently. Traveling. It's just been so amazingly awesome, stellar. Something about just wearing this just makes me feel great. I'm even using it a lot more when I go to meetings. So all in all, I really do think that this is probably one of the better watches that you can get for your dollar when it comes to a GMT watch, especially with all the features that it has. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, please give me a like and subscribe. And just because I like to be cognizant of the money that you guys spend on things, If you're looking to find something that looks nice and you don't want to wear a smartwatch or break out your cell phone to take a look at the time zone at home, then there is another option when it comes to tracking multiple time zones, and that is digital watches. These are a couple of really great digital watches which allow you to do that. They're Casio A1200s, and they keep track of 2 time zones. In fact, they keep track of pretty much all time zones with the one little digital dial down here at the bottom. Great watches, inexpensive, 20 bucks, and they still look pretty cool. If you're not familiar with them, I'm going to do a video on these guys, and they're also known as the Casio Royale. And I'm going to put a link in the description where you can buy these guys for about 20 bucks. So there you go. If you want to keep track of time for a good price, 20 bucks. Well, for one, not both for 20 bucks. That's just crazy. Please let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye. Take care.